the shadows where the stories grow, ink and pixels start to flow. A spark of myth, a world unknown, black sigil carves it all in stone. Crafted dreams in silent light, woven deep through day and night. A channel born of art and flame, every tale etched with a name. Black sigil rising, calling through the screen. Visions forged in fire, haunting raw and clean. Fantasy and memory stitched into the scenes, where legends live forever, and nothing's as it seems. From cursed blades to arcane scrolls, they breathe life into broken souls. With every frame the truth is told, heroes young and ancient sold. A stroke code and midnight lore, unlock the dream behind the door. Not just a channel, it's a sign of mystery by grand design. Black sigil rising, voice in every frame. Tales that echo silence, joy and very pain. Animation whispered, secrets in the gray. The art of dark and wonder, running through all that. So hit subscribe, step inside, let the pixels be your guide to a realm that never dies. Black sigils where the magic lies. Batting raids watch the time now. Find your veins cast forever in the story. Black sigil holds us fast. In the shadows where the stories grow, ink and pixels start to flow. A spark of myth, a world unknown, black sigil carves it all in stone. Crafted dreams in silent light, woven deep through day and night. A channel born of art and flame, every tale etched with a name. Black sigil rising, calling through the screen. Visions forged in fire, haunting raw and clean. Fantasy and memory stitched into the scenes, where legends live forever, and nothing's as it seems. From cursed blades to arcane scrolls, they breathe life into broken souls. With every frame the truth is
Hello, everyone. Josh here from Black Sigil Studios. We have the new fact just dropped and errata, so I am extremely excited to go through this. It seems like there is a lot of changes. I've did a quick perusal, But for the most part, this is going to be brand new to me and you because this just dropped this morning. So how's everyone feeling today? Are we pretty excited for this fact or what? I know there's going to be some great changes, some changes that probably won't affect too much, but so far what I've seen, it looks really good. And it turns out a lot of those leaks that happened may have actually been pretty true. So I'm thinking what we should do is just get right into it. We're gonna start off with the rule book, that errata in fact, and then we're gonna go to the Force of Fantasy and the Ravening Hordes. Yeah, we're gonna do that one afterwards. So we're only gonna hit the topics that are either blue, which means that there have been a revised entry. So we'll hit those up, and as well as the magenta ones, which means those are brand new. So we're not going to spend time on anything that's already been covered. We're only going to go to new things here today. So let's get into it. Let's start the very first one for page 101 of the combat result bonus. Change the entry as follows. Whilst in combat order, a close order formation with a unit strength of 10 or more may claim a bonus of +1 combat result point. So that's a change, obviously, from 5 plus, from a unit strength of 5. So that means that you're going to need more troops in order to get to that combat res for close order. So this seems like they're trying to push more of an infantry base or larger unit base, which again I was kind of hesitant for in 8th edition, but I'm okay with Old World bumping that up to give infantry more of a static combat res. So no longer will you have monsters able to get the bonus characters as well that are under 10 wounds. Like they're not going to be able to get that bonus anymore. So it's going to be strictly for your infantry, your cav, that kind of stuff. So I'm very happy with that change. It makes you want to take bigger units instead of the minimum size units now to get that static combat res. Also, please chime in the chat here. That way we can talk about it together. And I apologize if I look tired. I literally just came off of a midnight shift, so I am haven't slept yet. All right, going on to page 107, Magical Vortex. Change the second paragraph as follows. Some magical vortexes move at the start of each turn, often by scattering. Should a magical vortex end such a move over a unit, move it by the smallest amount possible in any direction so that it can be placed on the battlefield, not touching the base of the models. That's kind of how I've already been playing it, but basically it's just saying is that it moves. If it lands on top of it, you're just going to shove it over the smallest, the lowest distance possible to get it off of that unit. So, yeah, so that's basically it. If it ends the move on, that's all. So if it has enough movement to carry through it, it's still going to continue on through. Then we have casting spells. Change the first sentence of the second paragraph of the bullet fall as follows. A wizard can attempt to cast a number of spells equal to their level of wizardry per turn, but may only attempt to cast each spell once per turn. So this is actually nice. No more can you take, like I think the high elves have like the silvery wand or whatever to give you an extra spell and be able to cast another spell. So this will be is that you can take as many spells as you want through magic items, through whatever generation you can. However, if you're level 4, you're only able to cast 4 spells. Level 3, only able to cast 3 spells. So you won't be able to cast anything over your wizard level. That is going to be a big change, but I like it because this will tones down wizards a little bit. It will speed up the magic phases and whatnot because you're not able to get those extra spells off. So very good change there. Casting roll, casting result, and casting value. Change the second paragraph as follows. This is going to be big. So the casting wizard's level of wizardry is then divided by 2 rounding fractions up and added to this roll to give a casting result. For example, if a level 2 wizard makes a casting roll of a 1 and a 6, the total casting result would be 8. It's 1 plus 6 equals 7 for the 2 dice rolled. Then plus 1 for the wizard level of wizardry divided by 2. So no longer are level 4 wizards just powering through spells as much as they were. That means a level 4 wizard and a level 3 wizard are only getting a +2 to cast instead of +4 now. So that's going to be interesting. So the only difference now between taking a level 3 and level 4, at least what I'm reading so far, is that extra spell that you're able to cast. And it doesn't give you an extra +1 to do anything with. It's just going to give you that extra spell to cast. So this is going to close that gap, I feel, a little bit between level 1 and 2s and then 3 and 4. So it may actually be a little bit advantageous to take a couple level 2s instead. If it's only going to be a +1 casting difference, gives you a little more versatility. Yeah, JW, exactly. So I think we've seen too long in Old World when it came out. It's like the standard was you got to take level 4 and level 4 only. That was it. So this change is welcomed by far, because like level 4 wizards are supposed to be the most powerful wizards in the Warhammer world, and it seems like every army we take always seems to have a level 4 wizard. So narratively, thematically, I love this change. Page 109. So this is for miscasting. So 8 to 9, barely controlled power. Change the last sentence falls. However, the wizard cannot attempt to cast any more spells for the remainder of the current turn. Cool. So I like how it specifically says wizard. So that pretty much says that wizard cannot cast anymore, instead of, I think it's pretty generic where we've been playing it, where it's like your magic phase is just done because you can't cast any more spells. So that change there makes it a little bit clearer that it's only that specific wizard that has miscast. Yeah, Justin, I agree. I think I think level 2s are going to be kind of the way to go now. If you have multiple, just kind of over here, just able to split up your casting and to add those dispel distances instead of just focusing on one wizard. Maybe you're going to take multiples now. We're going to be trying it up in some future battle reports for sure to see how we like that change. So stay tuned for those. Page 110 on Wizardly Dispel. Change the second paragraph after the bullet points as follows. Wizards that are fleeing or that are not on the battlefield cannot be nominated. Wizards that are engaged in combat can only be nominated to dispel spells that target them or their unit. That is great, because it allows you that if you have a wizard in one unit that's using an assailant spell against your wizard that's in the unit, he can now dispel instead of before when he's locked in combat and can't do anything. So that's another good one for some little bit of magic defense for a unit to kind of push you to putting a wizard into your unit, because it's not going to be the end all if your wizard's in combat now and can't do anything to protect himself. So again, I like the change. Going on to dispel roll and dispel result, change the first sentence of the second paragraph as follows. If you are attempting a wizardly dispel, the dispel roll is modified by adding the wizard's level of wizardry divided by 2 to give a dispel result. So it's the exact same as casting. So level 4 is going to dispel with a +2, level 3 is going to dispel with +2, and then 1 and 2 is just going to be dispel with a +1. Keeps everything in line, brings everything to the same. Page 111, dispelling remains in play spells. Change the second sentence of the first paragraph as follows. To do so, you may attempt either a Fey Dispel or Wizardly Dispel, provided the wizard making the attempt is within dispel range of the wizard that casts a spell, or in the case of Magical Vortex, within range of the template representing the spell. That is going to be a huge change for getting rid of those pesky vortexes that are in play. Because prior to that, it was you had to be only within range of the wizard. So what those wizards that were able to like cast a spell and then do a reserve move and get out, and then you're out of their range, and it's now you're just having to do a fade dispel on those vortexes. This has changed it now, where those vortexes are a little bit easier to dispel. So no more of those tricky little wizards running away and then staying out of dispel range. So vortexes will now be able to be dispelled as long as you are within your wizard dispel range. Fantastic. Ward saves. Representing magical protection of some sort. Ward saves are made in the same manner as armor saves by rolling a d6 and comparing the result of the warding value. A ward save's warding value is given in either description of the item or spell that grants it, or shown from the name of the special rule. Rules that affect armor values do not affect warding values unless otherwise stated. So this was kind of like I thought this was pretty clear cut, but I guess there's some people who have been interpreting that, oh well, a ward save is a kind of armor save, so therefore any spells or anything that increase an armor save would increase a ward save. I never played that way. I just played ward saves were completely separate. Yeah. So also, if I am misinterpreting anything that I'm reading, guys, please let me know in the comments, because in the chat there, because again, I may misinterpret things. I have been up for the last like 16 hours, so bear with me. It's going to be a bumpy ride. All right. Also, can you guys read the screen okay as far as the text goes? Is it good size? Just want to make sure that everything's good there. All right, so we're going to go on to page 145 for the fighting rank. This is going to be a big one. All right, change entry as follows. When two opposing units are engaged in combat, any row of models, be it rank or file, in which one or more is in base contact with the enemy is a fighting rank. Any model that is within the fighting rank and within a number of inches equal to its movement of the enemy unit can fight. This represents models closing in upon the foe. So, any models that are within the fighting rank and within a number of inches. Okay, so what this is doing, to me, this is saying that it's trying to get rid of line hammer, where you start creating a huge line and then everything is attacked that's in the fighting rank. This is saying is that it's only the models that are within their movement value can now attack. Thank goodness. I think this kills line hammer. So now let's say your infantry movement of 4 from if you're overextending on their front rank, you're only going to be able to get, let's say, 4 inches on either side of models that are able to attack. So that's still a big distance. That's an extra. So on 25 mil models, that's 4 models on either side. Still very big, but it prevents people from going, 10, 20 wide and trying to get all those, sneak those attacks in. So that's a great change. Supporting attacks. Change entry as follows. Models whose weapons allow them to make a supporting attack can do, yeah, exactly. Poor dwarves. Those 3-inch movement, unfortunately, they won't get as many supporting attacks. Models whose weapons allow them to make a supporting attack can do so if they are in a rank or file directly behind the fighting rank. So it's the exact same thing with supporting attacks. It's just saying that it's within their movement value. So again, you can't have, it kills Linehammer. Charging units. Change the second sentence of the first paragraph as follows. To represent this, models gain a modifier to their initiative characteristic during the combat phase of which they charge to a maximum of 10. Is that saying that before you only got a maximum of +3? Is this saying that if you charge 7 inches, you're getting +7 initiative? Is that what I'm reading here? To represent this, models gain a leadership of the initiative character during the combat phase for which they charged. Does that eliminate the +3? Interesting. So, you know what? I'm gonna just pull up the rule book here. Let's just take a look and see what it says. I just gotta figure out where I put it. Because if that's the case, then you're gonna get like Cav is definitely gonna be getting a lot of initiative off of that. Where's my rule book? Uno momento. Okay, I think I got it here. All right, perfect. Rule book. Boop. So that was page 146 is talking about. So let's go to 146. Went way too far. 146. Where are you? Okay, so 146. Charging. So it says to change the second sentence of the first paragraph. To represent this, every model within a charging unit modifies the initial character to the remainder of that turn to a maximum of 10. We're going to change that, which represents models gain a modifier to their initiative character in the combat phase of a turn in which they charged. So that doesn't change anything with the +3, it looks like. I think it's just rewording it a little bit, so it seems like it does the same thing. I could be wrong. What do you guys think? To a maximum of 10. Yeah, but I think it already established that in the base rulebook though. So I'm not sure, Justin. I'm not sure why the change. Well, they changed the wording from for the remainder of that turn to sorry, into a turn to of a turn in which they charged. I'm not sure. So I don't think it changed anything. Maybe yeah, maybe just a little rewording there. I don't think it changes anything though. So not overly a big deal there. All right, so we're going to go to page 170 for fly. Change the first paragraph of this rule as follows. Except when following up and pursuing, a model with this rule can choose to move by flying through the air rather than moving across the ground as normal. When a model flies, it uses a special fly movement characteristic showing in brackets after the name of the special rule, showing here as X. Models can choose to move by flying. Okay, so it's officially saying that you can't. So you basically run on the ground. Hmm. Well, falling back in good order, because you're technically when you fall back in good order, it counts as a charge, which is then you count as charging, but then it's then resolved on the next turn on the next person's phase. So they would still get the initiative bonus regardless. I think it's just a rewording because maybe it wasn't 100% clear. Um, that's all I think it is that Dragonhearth. So yeah, basically the fly thing I think it's just saying is that when you um, pursue a model, you run on the ground. Just basically that's what it says. Frenzy. Change the first paragraph as to follow. During a turn in which it made a charge move, or during the turn after it made a follow-up move, a frenzied model has +1 modifier to its attacks characteristic. However, a frenzied rider does not confer the modifier to their mount, and vice versa. Okay. Yeah, it just clears it up pretty much that if your rider has frenzy, your mount doesn't get it, and if your mount has frenzy, he doesn't get it, and then the +1 attacks count for when they follow up. Oh, hang on, during any follow-up move. So that would mean that when you give ground is still a follow-up move, so you get +1 attack? That's interesting. That makes frenzy a lot better. Huh. Because before was well, yeah, no, frenzy was always just a +1 anyway. Frenzy was always just a +1 modifier to attack regardless. And then when I was in combat. Hmm. Maybe just a rewording. Maybe we should go. Let's go check on frenzy real quick and see what it says there. Impetuous. I know my. Okay, so we are going to change the first paragraph. Okay. A frenzy model has +1 modifier to its attacks characteristics. This modifier does not apply to the model's mount in the case of counter model to its beast. Okay, so again, it just sounds like it's Oh no, they nerf frenzy. They actually so you only get the attack now when you charge or during a turn after it made a follow move. So now, if the frenzy unit is charged, or if it's a draw combat, they don't get +1 attack. So they nerfed frenzy. Interesting. So it's not so frenzy is not like a sustained combat thing. Interesting. So unfortunately, I think that makes. I mean, we're gonna see how infantry's better, but against Cav, infantry that are frenzied are not gonna get their attacks. Interesting. Hmm. All right, we're going on to impact hits. Change second sentence of resolve impact text as follows. Impact hits are resolved against the charged unit when the combat is chosen during step 1.1 of the close combat and fight subphase before issuing challenges. They hit automatically and use the unmodified strength of the model, making it okay. So this change, all it's doing is that it's saying that you can't use your impact hits in a challenge, which I agree with. That's a much better change. It makes chariots a little less devastating when they charge in and you want to challenge a character in them. Because before, how many times were you getting your character absolutely demolished by D6+1 impact hits from a chaos or orc chariot or something? So this goes back to you fighting 1v1 with the actual character and not having the chariot necessarily do the dirty work for you. So I have no problem with that. That sounds great. Like the impact hits are still going to go into the unit for combat res. So that also actually what that does as well is also protects the chariot from someone challenging you on it immediately with a champion if you're a lone character. So now it's like before I was able to like, oh, my champion challenged a character, send all the impact hits to him, save the wounds on the unit. Now that doesn't apply. Now the impact hits will actually go into the unit first, so you can't do that whole challenge out thing and put the impact hits only on a character. So yeah, again, good. I like it. Impetuous. Okay, so we saw this a little bit in the leak here, in the leak earlier. So let's see here. If during the declare charges and charge reaction subphase of its turn, a unit that includes one or more impetuous models is able to declare a charge, it must make a leadership test. If the test has failed, the unit must declare a charge. If it is passed, the unit may act as normal. So we are changing this from a 50-50 chance of something using impetuous to a leadership check. So something that's going to be a higher leadership. Dragon princes, I believe, are impetuous on a leadership of 9. They're now more likely not to have to charge. But obviously a unit of orcs or something that have lower leadership, or goblins in general, their lower leadership, they won't. They may charge a little more. Yeah, exactly, Justin. Infantry knights, it's a little more control, mind you. They're low leadership as they are. I think they're only leadership 7 on the infantry knights, but still, that's the average dice roll. So, it'd be interesting to see how this changes impetuous, because I think impetuous was too much of a 50-50 gamble that doesn't really benefit you at all to be impetuous. There's no benefit to impetuous. Jay, that's a great question. If it would, I'm assuming I'll have to check Warband again, see what it can be used for. Um, let's take a quick look at Warband and see if that's something that potentially it could be used for. Poison attacks. Warband. According to this, yeah. For Warband, it's you use it. See, to me, that doesn't make sense. That the Warband would make you less impetuous. If you have Warband, I thought that would make you like more likely to have to charge because you got your boys with you and they're kind of egging you on to, they want to get a good old scrapping. So I would like to see a change in the future where Warband maybe doesn't affect your leadership or negatively impacts impetuous. I think that'd be a cool rule because like Warband has so many benefits to being a Warband that it'd be kind of cool if it gave you a negative for being in a Warband for your impetuous check. So you're like -1 for every rank that you have, -1 leadership for impetuous checks. That'd be kind of cool. But either way, we're not talking about. Let's not talk about what we would like. This is just going through the errata. Large target. Large targets do not benefit from partial or full cover. In addition, a unit can draw a line of sight to a large target over or through another unit and vice versa, provided that unit is not also a large target. Finally, a unit that shoots at a large target can shoot with one additional rank. For example, a unit armed with crossbows can find the first 2 ranks when shooting at a large target, or with its first 3 if also standing on a hill. So that's a big change because monstrous creatures, when you took a brick of, let's say, night goblins with poison, they used to all be able to shoot. So if you were, 30 guys in there and they were 4 ranks deep, everyone was able to shoot at a large target before. So that's a big change that's going to help, I think, save. That's going to save monsters. Justin, unfortunately, I read ahead, which poison and attacks is the next thing we're about to read. Change the first sentence of the rule. For each rolled hit of a natural 6 a model with poison attacks makes, they may apply a +2 modifier to one of their rolls to wound. So instead of it being an automatic wound now, you get a +2 to wound. So if you're now shooting at, again, a T6 monster, those poison attacks are wounding on a 4+, assuming you have strength 3 or 4. You're, instead of wounding on a 6+, you're going to be wounding on a 4+. You may say boo, but I am actually very happy with this change. Poison has been running rampant with being like kind of top tier technique to deal with a lot of big things. It's too powerful. It was too powerful, especially when you were looking at like the Spider Riders, Goblin Spider Riders with the Spider Banner with poison attacks on a 5+. That was oppressive. This, I think, is a fantastic change. Again, because the one thing we don't want to do is what 8th edition did, which was made big monsters useless, and nobody wanted to take them because they were killed right away. Yeah, Jay Washer, exactly. I'm so used to seeing them take the exact same load every single time. And that too, like Jay, with the with war machines, exactly. So now those war machines aren't getting popped with 3 poison hits. Right now they're actually like, okay, well, yeah, you got a wound now on a 4+ still, but at least it gives a little more survivability to war machines from poison. Because again, I think poison was a little bit too strong in this edition, and this will rein it in. Does it rein it in too much? We'll see. We're gonna run some games, and we'll see what happens with that. But from reading this, I like it a lot. All right, going into regeneration saves. Immediately after a wound loss, but before models with 0 wounds remaining are removed from play, a model with the special rule may make a regeneration save by rolling a d6 and comparing the result to the regeneration value. Shown in brackets after the name of the special rule, if the regeneration save roll equals or exceeds the model's regeneration value, the wound is lost wound is recovered. Sorry. But it's still counted for the purpose of calculating the combat result. Rules that affect armor values do not. Okay, so this is going back to the whole thing before when people were kind of interpreting that, well, regeneration save is like an armor save, therefore it improves it when you have anything that improves an armor save. This is just clarifying that no, in fact, it does not. It is you have a 5+ save, regen save. It is a 5+ regen save. Everything else is the exact same. It's just clarifying that nothing modifies it. It's the way it is. Stomp attacks. Change the second sentence of resolving stomp attacks as follows. Stomp attacks are attacks made in combat that must be made last after all other attacks have been made, including attacks made in Initiative 1. They hit automatically and use the unmodified strength of the model making them. That's how I was playing it, so I'm not really sure what the misinterpretation was there. But yeah, so it's just saying is you just go even after great weapons. Anything that has strike last, that brings you down to Initiative 1. Stomps go after that, and then they're just hit at their base strength. So no dragon ogres that are carrying great weapons that are strength 7 with them. That's not going to be a strength 7 stomp attack. It's just a strength 5 stomp attack. Pretty straightforward, I think. Sorry, itchy nose. I think allergies. All right, here comes some changes to stupidity. Unless it is fleeing or engaged in combat, a unit with a special rule must make a stupidity test by testing against its leadership during the start turn subphase of each of its turns. If the test has failed, the unit succumbs to stupidity until the start of the next turn subphase. A unit that has succumbed to stupidity cannot move. Cannot shoot or cast spells. Cannot attempt a Wizardly Dispel. Must hold if charged by the enemy. So they are essentially standing there with nothing to do. They are drooling fools. Yeah, the troll horde. Yeah. Well, yeah. I do I like this rule compared to what stupidity was, where you just kind of stumble forward and not able to stumble into combat. I like this a lot better. This makes stupidity really, really terrible to have. Um, so unfortunately, armies like Troll Horde, if you don't get big smarts off, I think it's called big smarts, you're probably gonna have a lot of your army not doing anything if you're outside of your Troll Hag's leadership. So kind of requires you to place her a little bit in a more advantageous position. That's fair, Jay Washer. So, yeah, stupidity's changing. So you basically don't do anything at all. You just stand there. That's it. So that can really throw a wrench into your plans, because before you were able just to still move forward your base movement, or you moved forward your base move up to your base move, I think it was. So it wasn't too much of really of it. Like, obviously it sucked because you weren't able to charge, you weren't able to do some things, but you were still able to move, which you're still moving with your battle line. This is much more of an impact where your battle line is now suffering because that unit is not moving up with you. So stupidity just got a whole lot worse, in my opinion. Swift Stride. So this is just a kind of an update to it. A unit which consists entirely of models with this special rule increases the maximum possible charge range by 3 inches, and before making a charge, flee, or pursuit roll, may choose to apply a d6 modifier to the result. Yeah, so I think this just includes that like every single model in the unit has to have Swift Stride, so you can't sneak something that doesn't have Swift Stride. That's pretty much it. Vanguard. Units that make a Vanguard move cannot declare a charge during their first turn. Huge. This also makes Vanguard units a little more susceptible to being charged themselves, because now that you're out there, you decide to move up your movement. If you're Cav, for example, you're moving 8 inches up, you better put them somewhere after that, because chances are they're going to be in charge range of the enemy. So Vanguard's going to be a little bit trickier. I do like this though, because it doesn't put so much of a, hey, I'm getting first turn and I'm having a chance of just absolutely blowing through your lines. So from a gameplay perspective, I do like that they kind of reined in Vanguard. Where are we looking at? Well, Jay Washer, what do you mean? Are you talking about when you have to roll dice to make a before? Did it not say that originally? Let's go take a look. That's how I've been playing it, is before. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. Yep, you're right. So it didn't clarify that before. I think it was in a previous errata when it mentioned that. I think the Blues, they just updated it a little bit more compared to what it was, because I believe in the previous errata it did have that where it had to be done before. I think the change here now is that they've added where the entire unit has to have Swift Stride. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was from a previous. They did mention that in a previous errata. It just the changes is just the must consist. All models must have Swift Stride. Vanguard went through Warband. Change the second sentence of the following rules. However, a warband cannot use this. Oh, here we go. It talks about it right here about impetuous. So if you have warband, you cannot use it to make a restraint test, or if it's impetuous. When testing, see if it must declare a charge or it may act normal. So there we go. So warband cannot be used for impetuous checks. So that makes sense to me. Where you can't use it, you shouldn't be able to use it, because you're with your boys. You're in kind of a rambunctious unit. They want to just go. So I like that. I like that they clarified that. They put that in there. That's perfect. All right, quick turn. Unless it marched, a unit that is in open order formation may pivot about its center to change its face by up to 90 degrees after moving during the remaining move subphase. has changed there for quick turn. Again, that's how I've always played it. I'm not sure what the change is. Oh, I guess that's going to be under open order, wherever those are. We'll go here. Open order. 182. Unless it's charged, marched, or fled. Oh. Hang on. So it says unless it's marched, a unit has an open formation. Now it can do it when it charges? How? 590 degrees. Canadian, thank you so much. Appreciate that. We're trying our best over here to give top quality content here, and it's with your guys' support, we're gonna keep going. So don't forget to sub and everything to the channel, like the videos, comment, and also memberships are now available if you guys want to show support that way. We have a lot of stuff planned for narrative games and everything that's going to be available to members only, and that's going to be starting. Looking at a July start, but for sure for August. It looks like that the quick turn can be used when you charge. Does that count as like if you fail a charge? Can you do a quick turn? Am I reading this incorrectly here? So unless it marched, a unit that is in open order may pivot about its center to change its facing. So that's restricting it only to marching. No, okay, never mind. No, that doesn't do it because they're not moving in the remaining move sub phase. So what's the clarification here? Why does it change it? Am I missing something here? Is this just like one of those reword things where they change it just to make it a little more relevant to the remaining moves? I think that's all they did because it reads the exact same way. Like the charging thing and fled, that's not done in the remaining moves, so it doesn't. Yeah, I'm not sure what the change here. It just says it has to be done in the remaining moves as long as they haven't marched. Okay. Skirmishers in combat. Oh, let's see what they did here. Skirmishers will maintain this close formation until the combat is over, until they are not engaged with an enemy at the end of the combat phase, at which point the models must separate, moving the smallest amount possible to once again adopt a formation. Okay, so this is just saying is that they go to combat, do the close order formation, and then as soon as the combat ends, they go back to their skirmish formation again. I think by the wording previously is that they kind of had to maintain until they reform because they're in a close order formation. So this is clarified, so they just go back to skirmish once the combat's done. Pretty straightforward stuff. Skirmishers and charging. Change the first sentence of the following. The first paragraph as follows: a unit of skirmishers may charge an enemy unit that is visible to more than half of the models when a charge is declared. Add the following to the end of the second paragraph. If any skirmishers are unable to form up, the unit is considered to have lost its coherency as described on page 184. Okay, so this is just preventing from essentially a unit behind a forest that only has one model peeking out along the side of the forest and everyone else is blocked. They won't be able to charge that way. You have to expose your skirmishers. You have to expose them in order to be able to charge them properly. Okay, yeah, I like it. No more hiding behind something and using them as cover while behind a building or behind a forest. This just makes it so you actually have to put them out in the open a little bit if you want to declare a charge with them. So that's good. Okay, this is a big change as the infantry stuff here. I think this is going to be pretty good. So, change the entry as follows. So, press of battle. In the heat of battle, orderly ranks become a swirling melee, except during a turn in which it charged. The fighting rank of a unit that has this rule and is arrayed in combat order is not 1, but 2 ranks deep. In other words, models that are directly behind and in base contact with models in the unit's actual fighting rank are considered to be within its fighting rank. Huge. So now every single infantry that has more than 1 front rank gets both ranks of attack. That means that with spears, you will be fighting in 3 ranks now with spears, it seems like, right? Because fighting an extra rank. Wow. Infantry coming back, baby. I love it. I love seeing infantry come back. This is going to be a huge change. Huge. And the fact that this is only an infantry thing, we are going to see, I think, bigger blocks of infantry coming back. The classic Warhammer that I love to see, I think it's going to be coming back. So that's great. Massed infantry. Numbers alone can sometimes overcome the foe. When determining combat results, that's right, Dragonheart. Yeah, only regular infantry and heavy infantry, not monster infantry. Let's get that. Make sure we understand that. Not monster infantry. Yep. Yep. Exactly. So, mass infantry numbers alone can sometimes overcome the foe. When determining combat results, if one side has a higher unit strength than the other and includes 1 or more units with this rule, the side may claim bonus +1 combat result. Yes. Okay. Again, further hammering down on the bigger infantry blocks. Now they get a bonus. Is that if you have a higher unit strength, you're getting an additional +1 combat res of static combat res. Fantastic. So now if I'm taking a block of like remember Tony Man at Arms, they're usually taking blocks of 30, 32, 34, 36. They're going to get a +1 combat res because they're generally going to be outnumbering what they're going against. So again, a big boost to infantry. Let's go. Um, oh yeah, not at all. No, this is fantastic. Yeah, exactly, Justin. This is the Warhammer that I remember. Big blocks of infantry, some supporting cav, a couple monsters here and there, monsters infantry. This is what I'm talking about. Parry. So, with a sword and shield, warriors attempt to deflect enemy attacks whilst engaged in combat. A model with this rule that is equipped with and chooses to use a hand weapon and shield improves its armor value by 1 to a maximum of 3. Okay, so hand weapon and shield makes them really difficult now to push around. Yes, you're not getting any sort of special bonuses, but you are getting an additional armor save. So you're not only you're getting 1 for a shield, you're getting a bonus 1 on top of that. So your state troops, your state troops, your essentially sword and board state troops are now going to be an armor save of 4+ with a hand weapon shield instead of 5+. Makes it a little more durable. 4+ armor save. That's great. Even now, that means now with great weapons, they're still going to get a 6+ armor save. So makes them a little bit not tougher, but more resilient, I guess I would say. Heavy infantry. So heavy infantry gets press battle, mass infantry, and parry. So they get all the same things as infantry with those rules. So that's perfect. Weapon of war. So, however, a war machine can freely pivot about its center immediately before shooting, the better to face the enemy and make a follow-up move as normal. And may make a follow-up move as normal. Huh? What changed here? I'm not really sure why a war machine would want to follow up. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Hell Cannon. Yeah. Is Hell Cannon classified as a war machine, or is it classified as something else? Isn't it classified as like a monstrous creature or something? So, okay, let's go back here. Where are we? Weapons of war. A war machine can. Yeah, I knew it wasn't. I knew it was something else because it has. Yeah, it's a behemoth. However, a war machine can freely pivot about its center immediately before shooting the better to face enemy and may make a follow up move as normal. Change the first sentence of the second paragraph. Stop it. The first sentence. Okay, it's the same thing, maybe a little rewording, but it's the same thing. Enemy shooting, page 209. Change the first paragraph to follows. A character that has joined a unit of models of the same troop type as them, i.e., infantry or cav, cannot be targeted by enemy shooting unless change the first sentence of the second paragraph after the bullet points as follows. If there are fewer than 5 rank and file models of the same troop type as the character in the unit, the controlling player must first allocate hits to the unit until 1 hit has been allocated to each model it contains. Yep, okay. Lookout, sir. Change the first sentence as follows. If a character is hit by a shooting attack, and if there are 5 or more rank and file models of the same troop type as the character in the unit, the character can make a lookout, sir roll. Okay. Yeah, so the shooting thing is just it's saying that, so let's say you have 4 models of a character and they do 6 shots. That means you have to place 4 shots on the unit first before allocating 1 to the character. And I think before you were able to, as long as they were distributed evenly between the character and the unit, as close as you can. So this kind of gets away from being able to put more shots onto your character that has a really high save to bounce them off. So it means that the unit is essentially going to take more of the hits. Yep, I like it. Makes sense. No more kind of being gamey and being like, well, he's going to take 3, the unit's going to take 4. Not going to work that way anymore. I dig it. Excuse me. Sorry. Challenge the mounts. Delete the second sentence, then add the following. Note that if either participant is slain before the rival or a mount can make an attack, those attacks are lost. Yes. Thank you very much. No more is it so easy to ramp up the combat res for overkill when you have like a dragon or something and the character kills him. And then, oh, well, now I can do all my dragon attacks and this and that. It's like, nope, they are lost. That's correct. It has to be the same. J Washer has to be the same unit type. Yeah. But yeah, so now challenging the mounts and mounts. So goodbye +5 overkill every time a dragon goes in there for a challenge, potentially. Um, I like this. I like this a lot. It never made any sense to me that like you go by initiative order, the character kills him, then all of a sudden this dragon is now just pummeling this dead body and is giving you combat res. So I like that change a lot. We are changing some weapons here. Let's take a look. So the flail. It's +2 strength, -2 AP, armor bane 1, requires 2 hands, a flail strength modifier, and armor bane 1. Special rule, only apply against any models the wielder charged this turn. Okay. So, yeah, makes sense. The before, I'm guessing it had the armor bane, it was silly that they still got all that AP when they were in combat, even at the strength modifier. They got the armor bane built into it as well. Yep, cool. More than one combat weapon. Change the first bullet point as follows, then delete the fourth bullet point. If a unit that is engaged in combat is equipped with 2 or more combat weapons, you must choose which weapon it will fight with when its combat is chosen during step 1.1 of each and every choose and fight combat subphase. Okay, so now it's you get to choose. Hey, let's go to the actual entry here in 213 on page 213 here. You know what? I'm going to change that so it doesn't make that noise anymore. Okay, so this says change the first bullet point as follows, and then delete the fourth bullet point. Says here that if you use equipped with 2 or more weapons, you must choose which it will use when its combat is chosen during step or zone, and the fourth, unless the weapon itself states otherwise, a unit cannot change weapons between. Okay, so now you can it's saying that you can change weapons in between each round if you're equipped with them. So you have a choice what you want to do. So this essentially changes this into the old Black Orc rule, armed to the teeth, which used to be is that they had a special rule back in 8th edition and previous editions where they had a lot of weapons on them and they choose each round what they want to use. So this is now saying that if I choose great weapons in one round, and the next round I can be like, ooh, I need to use sword and board and switch to sword and board instead. So interesting change. Lets your units be a little bit more flexible with each engagement. I like it. I like it a lot. It gives you a little bit more of like of a tactical decision every single combat, every new round that you want to do. So J Dobby, you always have a hand weapon. You never ever get rid of your hand weapon. Every model is assumed to have a hand weapon as well as whatever other weapon that they take. So yeah, there's really now. Can the dwarfs? Is it take a great weapon? Oh, they can take a shield as well, right? It's not like an ore, like a great weapon or shield. Because if that's the case, there's really no point in taking sword and board based dwarfs anymore. You might as well just take the great weapon, and now you have flexibility with one unit. I like it. Yeah, perfect. That Justin, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So you might as well just take a great weapon dwarf with a shield. Now they can either be tanky or damage healer. Love it. Okay, this is the one I was really looking at in the leak about halberd. So change the weapon profile. So it's strength +1 still, AP -1 in bracket -2 armor bane 1. A halberd has an AP of -2 against enemy models the wielder charge that turn. Empire Spearmen or halberdiers are looking a little more tasty now. That's a nice change for halberds to give them an extra AP on the charge. I like it. So AP1 always, AP -1 always. Stormvermin 2, yeah, for sure. AP -1 always, AP2 on the charge. This might this might be a change for like how many people are just taking straight up great weapons. This like the +2 strength versus +1 is obviously gonna be a big deal, but now if you're fighting not a super high toughness army, halberds become even more viable to kind of punch through knights and whatnot if you need to. In the odd chance you're able to get a charge off. Demigriff knights. Instead of taking lances, they can take a halberd that's just going to give them that static +1 strength instead of only when they charge. Pretty cool. The Morning Star. +1 strength, -1 AP, armor bane 1. A Morning Star strength modifier and armor bane 1 special rule only against only apply. Rule apply only against any models the wielder charge this turn. So again, we're seeing the same thing where it's you only get the bonuses when you charge. Who really takes a Morning Star? Is it just I think Bretonia does? Does anyone else really take Morning Stars? I'm not sure. Lances. Change the weapon's notes as follows. Models whose true type is cavalry or monster only. A lance can only be used during a turn in which the wielder charge, and its strength and armor penetration modifiers only apply against many models the wielder charge that turn. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how everyone plays it. Jay Washer, exactly. Yeah, help detachments coming to the side, counting as charging. Huge. Huge. That counter charge, or not counter charge, whatever it's called, their rule is. Oak Tea? Sorry if I say it wrong. Greetings from Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in from Germany. Oh, we haven't gotten to the books yet as for the changes, but yeah, I did see that they still aren't allowing the Black Orcs into the Grand Army, the Black Orc Chariot, sorry, into the Grand Army. That is being locked into the nomadic walk. That's they're not changing that. Unfortunate. I mean, they're really good. I'm kind of glad I don't have to face a Black Orc and a Black Orc Chariot every single game, so I'm okay with this a little bit as a non-Orc and Goblin player. But welcome. I hope you are a subscriber and you follow us, because we're going to be putting out a bunch of battle reports, especially with this new fact coming out. Maximum armor value. Change the entry as follows. Regardless of the armor it wears or the equipment it carries, there is a limit how well protected a model can be. With larger models providing much harder or to encase in armor than the smaller counterparts. To represent this, models whose troop type is infantry or cav can never have an armor value better than 2+. That's always been that way. 2+ has always been the maximum. Great, no problem. Chariot, monster, war machine can never have an armor value better than 3. Yes, anything to bring down dragons. Anything to bring down dragons and those characters that ride them that are 2+, and then a ward save and a regen save. This is a good change to kind of rein in big units. So again, it's pushing the smaller like the infantry and cav stuff a little bit more than it's pushing monsters, which is all right with me. Going on to dead or fled. So change the third bullet point as follows. Each enemy unit that has been reduced 25% of its starting unit strength or less at the end of the battle, or if its unit strength is equal to its starting wounds to 25% of its starting wounds or less than that at the end of the battle, is worth a number of victory points equal to 50%. So this now means those big monsters, your dragons, all that stuff, those characters that are reduced down below 50% are worth points. So that's going to be a big change where characters are going to be giving up more points now, that you can't just hide them when they get below 1 wound, or when they get below 2 wounds and they have only 1 left. You're still going to at least get some points for them. So big change. Big change. Here we go. Pillar of Fire. Oh. Change the 3rd, 4th, and 5th sentences of the spell's effects falls. While it's in play, the template trees difficult terrain. The template scatters d6 inches every turn. Every starter turn subphase. An enemy unit that moves through the template or that the template moves over suffers d3 plus 3 strength 3 hits with an AP of -2. Boom. Pillar of Fire has now been reined in. It is no longer the controlling player's choice where it goes. Thank you so much for fixing Pillar of Fire. This was too much of a pain in the butt that was abused. It was taken every single time, and it just decimated troops and cav, because the -2 AP is huge. So this makes Pillar of Fire on par, at least with most other vortexes, which is a lot better. Arcane Intercede changed the spell's casting value to 9+. I believe it was a 10+ before. I think it was 10+, or was it an 8+? Ooh, either way, change to 9+. I think we're gonna see a lot. You're gonna see a lot of spells changing with how the new spell, the wizard levels and everything, how it's divided by 2 now. Curse of Cowardly Flight, change it to 8+. Seed of Shadows is now an 8+, and Demonic Vessel is a 9+. Okay, yeah, just slight modifications to some of the spells. It's all good. Vortex of Chaos, change the 3rd, 4th, and 5th sentences. While also play the is treated as a difficult terrain. This template scatters d6 during every starter turn subphase. Any unit, friend, or foe that moves through the template or that the template moves over suffers d6 +1 Strength 3 hits with an AP of nothing. What changed there? Vortex of Chaos. I'm not sure what changed. I guess the downside to all this is all those cards and everything I have for all the spells. I'm gonna have to like what? Use a pen and change the value? That's not great. I don't want to do that. Vortex of Chaos is Demonology. Where is these alphabetized? I think they are. Demonology. Vortex of Chaos was 3-inch template. Let's see here. Oh, okay. They're just clarifying how it scatters. I see. So this is going. This is kind of clarifying because a lot of people are like, well, the template doesn't move; it keeps going. It whatever. This is saying that it scatters as per page 95, which page 95 states that if you get a direct hit, I believe it just doesn't move. You don't use a little small arrow because it doesn't tell you to use a small arrow. Because there's a kind of a debate on how that stuff kind of works. So right here, under scatter, if a hit is rolled, the scatter dice, the object does not move. Leave it in place and resolve the rest of the rule. So there you go. So that debate is now put to rest. Vortexes, when you roll a scatter die, if you get a direct hit, it in fact just stays where it is, does not move. That's it. Clarified. Boom. Done. Love it. I'm glad they specifically mentioned that it does not, that it to reference page 95, because a lot of people were going back and forth on when to use the scatter dice because it doesn't specifically reference the scatter and whatnot, and when to use the little arrow on the direct hit. So this pretty much puts to bed it does not move. As long, I think I'm reading that right, but that's what I'm interpreting as. Infernal Gateway changed to 9+. Flaming Sword changed it to 7+. Flaming Sword is a useless spell in my opinion. Summon Elemental Spirit, same thing. It just now states that it scatters using page 95 rules. Earthen Ramparts is a 9+. Was not Earthen Ramparts an 8+ before the cast, or was no? It was 10+, I think, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I think it was a 10+ before. So I think this is overall is a they did some reduction of casting values, I believe. That is under elementalism, I believe, for Earthen Ramparts. Yeah, it's 10+4. It goes down to an 9+. So yep, cool. Kind of reduction in casting cost there. Oh, not there yet. Wrong one. Saw nothing. Travel mystical pathways. If the target friendly is not fleeing and has not already moved during this movement phase, you may immediately remove the battlefield and place it anywhere completely within 12 inches of original location, but not within 6 inches of enemy models. This, when people were playing it, that they speak, oh, it doesn't say fully within 12 inches, so they were putting the corner of the unit at the 12-inch mark and letting it extend forward, angered me so much because it clearly was not the intent of the spell to allow it to do that. This now clarifies everything must be within 12 inches. So the furthest model away has to be within 12 inches of where they originally were. I agree, Jay Washer. Like it's the people that break the rules intentionally because they don't think of what they meant to say. They just be like, nope, this is what it says. This is how we're playing it. It's like that wasn't the intent, and you're just breaking the spell. You're breaking the intent of what it's meant to do. But hey, now we have official official rule saying this is how it behaves. So again, so far this fact has been absolutely fire so far. I love it. Let's keep diving and let's see what else changes here. Shield of Safri, 8+. Confounding Convocation, 8+. Miasmic Mirage, 10+. I think that was 11+ before. So again, this is all just changing slightly with the reduction in the wizard level now and the power that they can cast spells at. Death of Cabal, 8+. Jay Watcher, yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's. I mean, hey, if people interpret that way and that's how your group wants to play, all the power to you. But I agree, it's kind of like, man, if that's how you want to play, well, good game, man. I don't know if I'm gonna go ahead and then continue playing that player that interprets it that way. Okay, so Spiritual Vortex. Again, it's just, oh no, what's this changing? Change the casting value 10+, and change the force sentence of its effective spells. Whilst within 8 inches of one or more Spiritual Vortexes, enemy units suffer -1 leadership. Okay, so I think that's just reining it in where you can't just be tossing down, have like a bunch of wizards that are tossing Spiritual Vortexes and giving a -1, -1, -1, -1. It doesn't stack anymore. It's just a flat -1 no matter what. So makes those Fear Bomb armies a little more manageable when they take this spell. Cool. Curse of Years is now 9+. Fist of Gork is an 8+. Here we go, 8+. Foot of Gork or Mork. Yeah, the only thing they changed is, again, clarifying that it scatters like normal. That's all they're doing there. Ogre Blade, points have gone up to 75, which is great. Ogre Blade was too much of an auto include for a lot of armies. I mean, it's still really good. 75 points. If you're looking for just like a glass cannon now that can't really take too much of a save, because Talisman of Protection is what? Is that 30 points? It's like, is it 30 points? Something like that. So now that gets rid of that combo of taking a Ogre Blade and then the Talisman of Protection. So, yep, makes the character not as survivable now if you want to take that weapon. It's still a really good weapon. If you're able to get the first attack off, you're still going to do a lot of damage potentially. So it's still good. It's just this is, I think, a better point cost for it, especially when you compare it to magic weapons in the actual like army books for the armor specific magic weapons. They are so overcosted compared to essentially what this does or what this did, that there was never any point in taking a lot of the magic items from the army books unless you were just going for like a kind of a themey list, which is great. But if you're trying to play something that was a little more competitive, it didn't really ever make sense to take a lot of the weapons from the army books. You might as well just take an Ogre Blade, and that was kind of the go-to for a lot of things. I took Ogre Blade a lot. I think it's a great weapon, but it's going to make me rethink things now that I can't make a character that's as survivable with it. Oh, Ruby Ring of Ruin, point change, 35. And it's only a power level 1 now instead of a power level 2. So it's going to be a little bit harder to get it off. But again, this lines up more with the level reduction of wizards. So too many times people are taking Ruby Ring of Ruin, Talisman of Protections. I don't like seeing things that are kind of an auto-included armies. Yeah. Steve is, I think, in a corner crying right now, trying to figure out what he's going to take now. David, me too. I'm liking the changes. I'm liking the changes to reel in match a little bit, and maybe not always need to take a level 4 anymore. A level 3 would do the same thing, and it's just give one less spell slot, and it's going to still give you +2. So, okay, I said this before. I'm not sure if you were here, but a level 4 wizard is like in the lore of it. A level 4 wizard is not going to be at every battle that you go to. Jay Washer, no, there was no change to the dispel levels, to the dispel ranges. It was just the fact that a level 1 and 2 is just going to be a +1 to cast, and a level 3 and 4 is going to be a +2 to cast. And then you can't you can only cast as many spells as you are wizard level. So if you take any ability that gives you an extra spell, you still can only cast 4 of those spells. I mean, we're about to change something. So here we go. Casting a spell. Cast a spell, roll 2d6, then divide the casting wizard's level of the wizard by 2, and add the result to the casting roll. I feel like we've already kind of dealt with this. This has already been talked about. If the result excludes the casting, yep, that's all normal stuff. We know about dispelling works. Okay, so that's it for the actual changes for the rule book. There are some frequently asked questions here that's here. So let's see if anything changes here. What happens if the scatter roll causes any part of an object to cross beyond the edge of the battlefield? The object removed from play. Yep, that's normal. Just clarifying it. If a model is required to make a leadership test using its own leadership characteristic, can it use the leadership of the different model, the general's, for example, instead? No. When the rule states a model must make a leadership test using its own leadership, it must use its own leadership. Again, I think this is just people not wanting to accept what the rule says, and now they have to clarify it. Some single-use special rules and magic items require a leadership test to use. Do they count as having been used even if the test has failed? Yes. So if it's a one and done, one use only, got to make a leadership test, and you fail, it's gone. See you later. Can different saves be combined together to improve their save value? For example, if a model has 2 war saves, can they be combined to give a single war save with a better value? No. Yep. So ward save is you take the best one that you have. So if something has a 5+ and a 6+, you're taking the 5+ no matter what. You can't combine them to make it a 4+ or anything like that. How many spells can a wizard attempt to cast during a single phase? For example, if a wizard knows a magical vortex and magic missile, can attempt to cast both during the same shooting phase. Wizard can only cast a number of spells up to their level of wizardry per turn, but can attempt to cast multiple spells during a single phase. Yeah, so it's not saying if you have two magic missiles, you can cast both in the same phase. It's just saying that you can't. If you have 5 spells, you can only cast a maximum of 4 over your whole turn. That's it. Choose wisely. If it remains in play spell with 2 casting values cast at the higher value, which one is used when trying to spell it during the conjuration phase? It's always the lower one. That's just the way it is. So if you have something that's like split like 7+, 11+ cast, you cast it at 12+. You only have to spell at the 7+. How many remains in play spells can I attempt to dispel during conjuration phase? As many as you wish, or perhaps more accurately, as many as your opponent has in play, and as many as you are able. Yep. In a single model unit straddles 2 arcs of an enemy unit and it wishes to charge, is it always considered to be in the arc that gives the least advantage? No, this is only the case when you cannot determine which arc of an enemy unit the unit is charging within. If it is clear that the majority of the models is within one particular arc, even if the unit consists of only one model, it will charge that arc. So if you are legit, like right on that line, right on the line, where it's 50-50, you will take the worst value. So let's say it's between the front and the side. If you're 50-50 right on, you will always charge into the front. If it's clear that majority of your models are in, let's say, the flank, you will charge into the flank. If a unit charges an enemy that is defending a low linear obstacle, can it stop on top of the obstacle? No, it stops right at the obstacle. That's it. Can a model that chooses to stand, shoot, or fire and flee as a charge reaction attempt to cast a magic missile or magical vortex? No. No, it can't. Models cannot cast magic missiles or magical vortex after marching, but does this include bound spells? Yep. You know what? I don't think we really need to go too much into this. A lot of this is kind of common sense stuff. If you have any questions or anything about the rules, man, guys, just feel free to post up in here if you need clarification. Myself or somebody in chat will most likely have the answer for you. I like kind of going through rules with people, so if you have any questions, just let me know. And don't get me wrong, I get stuff wrong still. I've played a bunch of games and I still get rules wrong. It is what it is. It's just, we can only improve. All right, so we are done with the rulebook FAQ. Done. We're going to go on to the Forces of Fantasy now and see what's changed in there. All right, so looks like we're starting with some dwarves. Strike the runes. Change the rule as follows. An Anvil of Doom can cast the following bound spells with a power level of 2. So before, I believe they were a power level of 3, so they just brought them down to more what all the other wizards are. So they're still acting as if they're like a level 3 wizard. Essentially, it's just instead of being +3 that wizards were at, they're down to a +2 now. So it just brings it all in. Rune of Oath and Steel, change the casting value to 8+ and 11+, and change the first sentence of its effects as follows. If this bound spell is cast with a casting value result of 8 or more, the target friendly unit may reroll any failed armor save rolls. What did that change? Was it only a roll of a 1? Is that what it was before? I think that's what it was. Can't remember. Rune of Hearth and Home. Change the spell's casting value to 8+. Hammers. Add Gromroll Armor to a list of special rules. Hello, Hammers, getting an upgrade to a reroll. So they roll a 1 on their armor save. They get to reroll it now. That is a nice little addition there for Hammers, especially now with the new sword and board rules. Even though they only have heavy armor, the fact that you can switch between sword and board each turn now instead of being kind of held with whatever weapon you had to choose before, this will make them a little bit more tanky. Not nearly as good as Iron Breakers, obviously, but essentially they're going to be now a with sword and board Hammers is a 3+ armor save. Not bad. Runes of Protection. So change the rule as follows. Models with a special rule of a 6+ war save against any wounds suffered that were caused by non-magical attacks. I believe they're referencing the Iron Breakers here, and I think it was just a 6+ war save against everything, if I remember correctly. Now they're just specifically saying non-magical attacks. A little bit nerf for them, but Hammers are still going to be a 2+ armor save now, sword and board. So, that's okay. I'll take that nerf to get a 2+ on Iron Breakers. Trollhammer Torpedo. This one's a big change. So going down to strength 5. They're normally strength 8, so they're going down to strength 5, and they are replacing Dwarf Crafted with Cumbersome. Now, I get why you want to get rid of Dwarf Crafted. It didn't really ever make sense to me that the Trollhammer Torpedo did not receive a -1 for standing and shooting. I thought that was kind of odd and made them really, really powerful. Taking them down to strength 5, we'll see if they're they're still really good. They're still minus a bunch of AP and D3 wounds. They're still really good. Will they be? Will I take multiple units of them? Probably still will, but they're not going to be as effective as they were before hitting big monsters. So even when you now when you're fighting, let's say a Greater Demon of Nurgle as T7, you are going to be wounding on 6s instead of the reverse, which is you were wounding on 3s before. So that is a big difference now. Big difference. Rune lore. So okay, so they're still giving the bonus to dispel for the Anvil of Doom, which I like. Oh, interesting. They're giving different levels of dispel range now. So it's 24 inches for the Anvil of Doom, 21 inches for the Rune Lord, and a Rune Smith has a spell range of 18. Okay, that's different. And then it's going to be +3 modifier dispel for the Anvil of Doom. So the Anvil of Doom actually dispels better than what a level 3 or 4 caster can do. Very dwarf, very themey. So it's definitely going to be like a massive mana void around that thing, or a magic void around that thing. It's just going to be able to toss dispels at spells. Rune Lord's going to be +2. And then the Rune Smith is still a +1. So I think they actually, with all the changes, I think they end up getting actually a bonus, a buff to their dispels now. Which perfect. They now have more magic resistance, in my opinion, now that with all these changes to wizards and whatnot. So good. I always found dwarfs. Oh, Justin, they definitely needed it. Get out of here, you chaos dwarf lover. Going on to the General of the Empire. Whoa, Empire getting some love here. Change the leadership characteristic to a 10. So that's a big increase for Empire now. Their generals give leadership 10 to everything. They were always max 9 before. So it didn't really make sense to me they were leadership 9. They are general of the Empire leading their troops. How they weren't leadership 10 to begin with. I get they're humans, but he's still a general of the Empire. So that's a very good change for Empire to give them a little bit more staying power. Which you would kind of think that it makes sense for Empire. They are drilled troops. They are professional soldiers. They should have a higher leadership when their command is around. And then Captain of Empire changes from 8 to a 9. So again, very good change for that. I like it. Empire state troops. Add Horde to the state troops and veterans troops list. So now they're getting a +1 leadership. Oh, sorry, +1 combat res. Sorry, for their for big blocks of infantry now. So again, makes them a little bit better. Does it fix them? No. I think they're still overcosted, but at least it gives them something else that is kind of giving them a little bit of a buff. Great swords. Change the strength characters to 4. And the Count's champion changed the strength characters to 4. So great swords are now going to be strength 6 versus strength 5, which is huge. This is one thing Empire was lacking, in my opinion, is that they didn't have any like heavy hitters. Aside from like their cav and stuff, but their infantry, there was no heavy hitters. Now they have strength 6. Their infantry, especially with the fighting in 2 ranks, they can go toe to toe with monsters. They can go toe to toe with whatever now. So I like that change for great swords a lot. I thought great swords, they didn't really serve a purpose before. I thought I really understood the point of taking them when they were only strength 3/5 with a great weapon. This strength 6 changes a lot to me for great swords. So good change for them. I want to see them more on the battlefield. I agree, Justin. I think great swords were always a really cool troop. Yeah, beautiful. So the Royal Pegasus changed the points to 70. Like for how good the Duke on a Pegasus is now, the point change isn't going to change anything. He's still going to be taken. People are going to make room in their lists to add. How many more points is that? Does anybody know exactly how much the Bar Pegasus or the Royal Pegasus was before? I don't think it was even that much. I think I have. Do I have it up here? I'm just going to bring up Old World Builder real quick. And sorry, my camera is right in front of everything I'm trying to do here. Okay, here we go. So if we have a Duke, and then we're going to add a... Oh, wow. Whoever's doing Old World already has it updated. Good for them. So I can't remember what it was. Does anybody know off the top of their heads what Royal Pegasus used to be? Trying to find it. It was 60. Okay, so an increase of 10 points. That doesn't fix the how good the Pegasus is with being 360 and everything. Unless there's more changes coming, which I don't think there probably is. Doesn't change anything. Change points of the Pegasus Knights to 59. What were they before? Like 54, 50 something. So, and delete the Lance formation from the list of special rules. Yeah. Yeah, so like the lance formation, getting rid of it. Yeah, you might as well get rid of it because nobody ever took it. You might as well just keep them skirmisher formation because it's way better to have the 360 line of sight. Yeah, they did not fix the issue with Bretonia. As a Bretonian player, sorry, I admit they are kind of broken, especially with the Royal Peg with the the Duke on a Royal Pegasus. The fact they can charge 360. The change for skirmisher rules, again, is minor for Pegasus because you're not running them in big units anyway. You're running them in units of 3, maybe 5, plus the Duke in there. So the whole 50% thing is not really going to affect anything. So Pegasus Knights still will be a terror on the battlefield, I find. The Falcon Horn of Fredemund. Change the first sentence of the following rules. Single use. During the command sub phase of the turn, if they're not engaged combat, the bearer of the Falcon Horn of Fredemund may attempt to use it by making a leadership test, using their own unmodified leadership. So, the Falcon Horn, which used to be in every single turn to negate someone's fly roll, is now only a 1-use item. So, it reins it in. It was too powerful before, where you're able to shut down someone's flying every single turn. So I'm really happy this change came in. I would have liked, I think, to see if they're going to do that, maybe a point reduction on the item. Then seeing how it's only a 1-use item, maybe a point reduction. But other than that, not complaining. I'm glad it's reined in. Perfect. Burning Gaze, that's their specific lore for Bretonia. Value to 9+. Cool. Page 124 for Magic. Every Treeman Ancient knows spells from one of the following lores of Magic. Okay. So they just have access to whatever. Deepward Coven. Change the first sentence of the rule as follows. A unit of Sisters of the Thorn knows a single randomly generated spell from either the Battle Magic or Elementalism lore of Magic. If you wish, the spell may be discarded, and the unit may instead select a search spell from its chosen lore of Magic. All right, cool. Woodland Ambush. Change the first sentence of the rule as follows. Once players have finished placing terrain, a Wood Elf Realms player may place one additional wood measuring no less than 3 inches at its narrowest and no more than 9 inches at its widest. Are you? Animo, you only get us through 1? Well, heck, what? Hang on, I think I can fix it. Did I just fix it? Does that sound better? Are you hearing it through both? Okay, yeah. Cool. Apparently I didn't have mono checked for these mics because there's technically a set of 2. One for each person. Well, thanks for bringing it up, Animo. I didn't realize that was a problem until you said something, so thank you. All right, so where we leave off, Woodland Ambush. I think this is just saying that it's just giving you a specific dimension of the forest here that you can put down. Easy peasy. Forest Walker, change the spell's casting value to 9+. Flock of Doom, change it to 8+. Okay, so they made it so it's I wonder if that's because of how wide are the original GW forests? I wonder if that's why they made the change from the forest they used to make. Or maybe they're coming out with new forests and they just wanted to put that in there so it matches it. Who knows? I would love for them to bring back forests. As crappy as they were as far as they fall apart a lot, they still look cool. So again, the Forest Walker and Flock of Doom, that's just to bring everything back in line with the wizard level changes. So cool. On to High Elves, it looks like. White Lions of Trace. Add Fierce Charge to list of special rules. Oh! They are giving White Lions of Trace the Furious Charge? So that's a little terrifying. I get that they're great weapons. They strike last, but they're Giving them fierce charge is a big bonus to high elves for people that like taking the white lines. Wait, am I thinking is that the actual lions or is that the infantry? That's the actual lions, isn't it? That's not the infantry. Hand of Cain changing to 7+. Teutogen Guard. Delete Guardians of the Temple from the list of special rules. Okay. What was Guardian of the Temple for Teutogen Guard? I don't remember what that is. Arcane Journal of Man. Warriors of the Wilderness. Change the first sentence of the rule. Once players have finished place terrain, a Shracen Warhost may place one additional wood measuring no less than 3 inches of the nearest. Okay, so before you were just placing, it wasn't a forest, was it? It was just a piece of difficult terrain, I think was the classification for that. So now they're specifically saying they can add an additional wood now. Ring of Fury. The wielder of the Ring of Fury can cast the Hammerhand spell from Lower Magic as a bound spell with a power level of 1. Brings everything in again with its magic. It's fine. Will people bring it as much now as power level 1? We'll see. But that was almost an auto-include every time for high elves, in my opinion, prior to this change. Fury of Athel-Loren. Change spellcast to 9. Spiteful Torrent. Change the 3rd, 4th, and 5th sentence. Okay, just talking about how it's... So it's just saying Skyre's D6 every start turn subphase. It doesn't mention about like the other ones referenced page 95 of the rulebook. This one doesn't reference it. I wonder if that is an oversight for Spiteful Torrent, that it's not referencing that. I feel like that was probably the intent to put in there, saying that it references that. Okay, so and Durthu's Wrath is Cascavel's changed to 9+. Okay, so that's going to be it for the Forces of Fantasy errata. We have one more left to do, so we're going to be hopping into the what's it called? The Ravening Hordes one. So I'm not going to do the frequently asked questions. You guys are more than welcome to read those. A lot of those is just kind of clarifying some things that people may have issues understanding, but a lot of times it's pretty straightforward and obvious what they're asking, but they just need some more clarification. So let's go to Ravening Hordes. Let's see if I can increase this a little bit for you. There we go. So we're going to start off with Orcs and Goblins. Release the Fanatics. Change the last sentence of the first paragraph of the rule as follows. Unless it is fleeing or in marching column, a concealing unit may release one or more of its Fanatics during any start of turn subphase. So I don't think it referenced before about being in a marching column specifically. So I think that's the change. And so a fleeing or marching column can't do it. Everything else you can. Cool. It kind of prevents them from setting up a marching column and just booting it across the field and then releasing them on like turn 1. So I like that change. It's a good change. It's a good inclusion to the rule. Yeah, exactly, Animal. That's right. Troll mobs. Change the option to take one of the following as follows. Any model in the unit may take one of the following. Add Motley Crew to the common trolls, river trolls, and stone trolls list of special rules. Ugh. Not a big fan of Motley Crew. It's too janky of a rule, I find. I mean, some people love it and play it. It's just not my cup of tea. Change to Porco's Pig Sticker. Change the second sentence of this weapon's notes as follows. Notes, this weapon's strength and armor piercing modifiers only apply only during a turn in which the wielder charged. Just clarifying that. It's meant to be like a spear or whatever, so it makes sense only on turn of charges. Brainbuster, Castlevania change to 9+. Mork's Curse, change to 7+. Character mounts, delete the restriction on the second bullet point, so it's going to chaos, as follows. Demonic mount. Change restriction on the 5th and 6th bullet points as follows. Manticore, Exalted Champions and Chaos Lords only. Chaos Dragon, Exalted Champions and Chaos Lords only. Okay, so a little changes, narrowing down who can be mounted on what, I guess. Again, for those tuning in, I apologize. I worked a midnight shift, and I haven't gone to sleep yet, so I may seem a little bit tired. A lot of bags under my eyes and whatnot, so just bear with me. Chaos Trolls. Same thing as the other trolls. Motley Crew. Any model unit may take one of the following. So they're just saying is that you can swap up what everything is carrying. Right. Chaos Knights. This one is huge. I never understood why I didn't have it before. Chaos Knights now have countercharge. That is huge. I never understood why I didn't have it to begin with. So it puts them in line with the rest of the cav. The fact that Boar Boys got countercharge and basic Chaos Knights did not blew my mind. Like they're superhumans, and you're telling me that they don't have the ability to countercharge once they're charged? No, that didn't make sense to me. So this is 100% something that I think they just left out, maybe unintentionally, never fixed it, but now it's fixed, and I'm very happy. The Chaos Dragon, add the impetuous rule. So now that impetuous is done with a leadership check, it's not nearly as bad to have. So this just gives that odd chance that that the dragon just has to charge. So impetuous isn't as much of a pain in the butt as it was before. It still is a negative. There's no benefit to impetuous, but at least now it's not a 50-50 shot. It's gonna be determined by your leadership. Diabolic Splendor. Add the following to the start of the rule. Models whose troop type is infantry or cav only. So no more taking on monsters, no more taking on chariots. Infantry or cav only. Monsters cav, I guess, is fine. But that's it. Enchanting Aura. Add the following to the start of the rule. Models whose troop type is infantry or cav only. Okay. Infernal Puppet. Unless the owner of the Infernal Puppet is fleeing or engaged in combat, they may use it whenever an enemy wizard that is within 15 inches of them makes a casting roll. If I remember correctly, that was just within a dispel roll before, correct? Because this change reins in a lot, and I like it because it pretty much shut down all magic with how it used to behave. So I'm glad they reined this in a little bit because it was too powerful before. Dragon Ogres change points to 59. Do we remember what Dragon Ogres were before? I feel like this is obviously a points increase because they're so good for their points cost. So am I upset? 56. So again, these point changes aren't super drastic. Like Dragon Ogres to me are still so good that in my Wars of Chaos or my my Beastman armies, like 3 points from all. I usually run them. I mean, I don't play meta where you're taking just one that goes around able to challenge stuff. I take them units to 3. So an extra 9 points to field them, still 100% worth it in my opinion to take them. They're still really, really, really good, even for the point increase cost. Skeleton Chariots. I think these actually went down in points, which is good because they're not great chariots. They lack a lot of punch going into different things. So I am happy that they got a point decrease. Is it enough? Probably not. I think they still need to go down a little bit more for them to be, yeah, like 2 points. I don't think that's really enough to make me be like, oh, I need to take these chariots. They're only okay. So for them to be an auto include for me, I think they would have to come down some more points per model. It's just a lack of AP that really kind of irks me with them. They can't go into anything that's really armored. They're great at clearing up infantry units, state troops, stuff like that have a minimal armor save. But this is all going to change now with sword and board. If you're going to start seeing more sword and board, these chariots become less useful. Now they're going to be getting an additional armor save on top of that. So, because if I'm going to take them, I may look at putting the Razor Standard on them just to maybe get them some armor bane. But yeah, maybe like 4 points total may make me think about it for sure. Yeah, Vortex of Souls. So this is on the casket. Casket of Souls can cast fall and balance spells with the power level 2. Again, keeping in line with the rest of the wizards so they're not overtuned. So just a +2 instead of a +3 they were at before. It's fair. Flail of Skulls. Change weapons notes follow. The Flail of Skulls strength modifier applies only against any models that the wielder charged this turn. Excuse me. Yep, makes sense. Incantation of Desiccation is brought down to 9+ to 10+. Normal stuff. Now we're going into the Arcane Journals. So we're going to go with the Orc and Goblin Arcane Journal first. The Skull Smasher. Change the second sentence of the weapons notes as follows. You must choose which Kicknick will use when his combat is chosen during step 1.1 of the choose and fight combat subphase. So it's just saying every turn you can choose which weapon he's using. I'm having a real tough time with my capture card. I think I may have to replace before we actually start going live with everything because this is no bueno. Okay, let me see here if I can fix this. Bear with me. Okay. I'm working on it. We're back. All right, we'll see if this kicks out again. Definitely need a new capture card. It's being a pain. Yeah, so basically you can choose which weapon he fights every round. Folded Whirlpool, change the third, fourth, and fifth sentence. Again, just talking about the changes where how it scatters, I believe. We'll also play the template choose difficult terrain. The template scatters d6 inches every start of turn subphase. Enemy that moves through the template or that the template moves over. Oh, suffers d3 plus 3 strength 4 hits with an AP of -3. So that's saying that if a unit moves through it, they still take the damage instead of just taking dangerous terrain. Interesting. Capital 8. So yeah, so Torrent of Filth, change to 7+. Rapid Regeneration, change to 8+. Accurate Axe, change the second sentence of the weapons to weapon notes as follows. However, this weapon's strength modifier applies only against any models the wielder charged this turn. Yep, just clarifying things. Storm's Wrath, this is for Chaos, Wars Chaos, Arcane Journal. Storm's Wrath, change the weapons notes as follows. Storm's Wrath weapon modifier applies only against any models the wielder charged this turn. Just clarifying this kind of stuff. The Beastman Brayherd's Arcane Journal, Dark Coven, to do replace the second, third, and fourth sentence to follow. To do so, when a Bray Shaman or Great Bray Shaman makes a casting or dispel roll, they may apply a +1 modifier to the roll if one or more friendly wizards that are not fleeing and have not succumbed to stupidity are within their command range. However, if they roll a natural double 1, something has gone horribly wrong. Roll immediately on the miscast table as normal, but apply the result to the Bray Shaman or Great Bray Shaman that made the attempt at each friendly wizard within their command range. I think they're just re-clarifying stupidity here, that you can't cast spells. Strangleroot changes to 8+. Banner of the Warped Moon. Add the following to the start of the rule: single use. Okay, so that's again a new change where they're adding single use to this item, which is kind of crazy because Beastman Brayherds just came out and they're already saying changing the magic item to single use only. For Tomb Kings, Sepulchral Animus. Once per turn before making a casting roll, any Lich Priest and Mortuary Cult army may draw upon the magical animus of nearby undead construct. To do so, nominate a friendly unit that has a Nekaharan undead special rule that is within the Lich Priest command range and whose troop type is swarms, monsters, infantry, monsters, cav, monsters, creature, or behemoth. The nominated unit immediately loses a wound. Lich Priest may then apply a +1 modifier to their casting roll. So this is, I believe, stopping the spamming of it to get further +1 casting rolls. Yeah, exactly, Zen. Yeah. So they're changing it where the most they're going to give you for a lot of this stuff is just a straight +1 casting roll, so you can't ramp up something. Because I know Mortuary Cult was pretty crazy, where I think at sometimes I was able to get like a plus like what was it, like a +6 or something to cast a spell, or 7 if I was near a Casket of Souls and whatnot. Yeah, 100%. Like, no more of this like nuking spells. This is just giving you a maximum of +1. I dig it. I like it. Flail of Conquer Kings. Again, it's just saying strength modifier only applies when unit charged. Stone Shaper. Change the last sentence of this rule as follows: until the end of this turn, the nominated unit improves the regeneration value of its regeneration save by 1. So that's specifically saying that it increases the regen save until the end of this turn. So that means that it doesn't carry over into the next, like your opponent's turn. It's just for your turn. That's it. And that is the end. Like I said, I'm not going to do the frequently asked questions. You guys can read those yourselves if you need more clarification. But that is it for this errata. I personally think this is a great step for the old world and very promising that Games Workshop, for a game that was initially supposed to be a specialist game that they were just going to release, and it was supposed to be, this is what you have, this is what you're playing, that's it. The fact that we're getting new constant facts and erratas, a brand new army, this really is showing that GW is putting in the time into the old world to make it grow, and I'm very happy about this. What's your guys' take on the fact? Are we happy about it? Do you wish there was different changes? So there are a lot of great changes to this. Yeah, big win, 100%, Justin. Big win for me. Yeah, exactly, Anima. I don't think it makes them like something that you have to take. It's not going to be like something that's going to make you win your games. It just makes it so they're not as bad to take. I would have liked a little bit more of an infantry buff, especially for troops like stage. I think infantry still has its place in the game per se. Different specific infantry has their place. They didn't really change enough of, let's say, Empire infantry to make them really good for me to want to take large infantry blocks of Empire. Don't get me wrong, the Great Sword change was great, but overall state troops, just giving them Horde didn't really change enough for me. I think they needed a point decrease for Empire to make them Empire's state troops. Yep, that's fair. Take them just to fill those core points, those mandatory core points, 100%. I'm really excited for this back. I'm excited to test out my next game, which I'm recording another video tomorrow, actually. Steve from Mountain Miniatures is going to be coming over, and we're going to be recording a game, and it's going to be Cathay versus Ogre Kingdoms tomorrow. Just kind of more of a themey narrative kind of matchup there. So that will be released when I'm able to release it, because I don't have permission from GW to release it early, but we are going to be recording it so that when the day one release of the model comes out, of all the models, that's when the video will drop, and that's when it's going to be available for everyone to see the fully painted Cathay going against Ogre Kingdoms. So definitely check out that video when it drops. I think we're looking at, I think it's like July 5th, maybe a little bit sooner, but I think it's July 5th is when they technically everything becomes available. So yeah, 5th, yeah. So that's when the video will drop is when the malls drop, because I just can't do it otherwise. But it's pretty exciting that we're going to be able to have a fully painted Cathay army on this channel, this brand new channel, essentially it's been here for a month. So that's a really huge thing to have, and thank you so much to Steve from Mountain Miniatures for bringing that over for me to play against. So that was it for this FAQ and everything. We're gonna hang around here. If anyone has any questions, just want to talk, we can hang out. I just want to mention that we have hit we're a little bit over 1 month officially as a channel, and I want to thank everyone that has helped support this channel by subscribing, liking, commenting, helping out those analytics, as well as any donations that you guys have given. It definitely helps to get a studio up and going, which we're building in the back there to give you more top tier content. It helps with growing the armies that I have so that I can give you more variation in the list, because we only have certain ones that are painted right now. I am grinding through it all. But with your help, it is allowing me to purchase new kits that will expand those ranges, as well as collect brand new armies. So we have, again, more variation, more options going forward. We have unlocked memberships now. If anyone's interested in helping support this channel, memberships are available. We do have big plans going forward. We are going to be adding members-only content. We're not going to be taking anything away from the general public. It's only going to be adding more content for members, as long as we get that support that people want more content that way. Because we do have full-time jobs, and this is kind of eating into our family life. So we just got to make sure it's going to be worth it for us to keep growing in that way. So memberships are available. There's going to be locked content behind them as far as it goes for more narrative style battles, campaigns. That's pretty much what's going to be behind there. So I'm planning on doing every single battle in the Arcane Journal as I build my forces up. I want to try and reenact as best as I can each one of those fights to start off with, and then we're going to go into more linked campaigns where it follows specific characters and see as they grow over the battles, and kind of have a little narrative drawn story behind the fights there. So that's kind of what we're growing with there. We are going to be going with live streams as long as the studio is finished by August. I'm hoping for an August start for live streams for battles. So stay tuned for that as well. Everything is kind of on track here to be there for those live streams. But yeah, so big things are happening here at Black Sigil, and again, couldn't do it without the community. Thank you so much for your support. That's all I want to say about that. So if anyone has any questions, or everyone wants to bring up a topic they want to discuss, have at it, guys. We are open here. I'll be hanging out for a little while longer before I actually try to catch some sleep. So anything, what are you guys working on? What you got? Want my opinion on something? I'm here for you. Yeah, there's just so much that I would love to do in the recording that I feel like not a lot of channels are doing, which I'm hoping, like I said, some narrative stuff. So level 1 wizard with Wand of Jet, is that all we may need as a caster? Oh, Zen, you're fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, I bought a capture card from just like Amazon just to kind of test it out. It was dirt cheap, and I think now I know why it was dirt cheap. I'm assuming it's the capture card. It's just because it kind of like lags out, and then eventually I get a device warning saying that it's like can't detect or whatever, and then it comes back in. So I'm thinking it's that. I may take my computer in just to attack to see if they can kind of run a diagnostic to see if that's in fact what it is or if there's a different issue. What does the Wanda Jet do again? I gotta look that up. It's not something I typically take. I know it's a common item. Wand of Jet, where are you? Wand of Jet. Yeah, so getting a +1 to cast, that is huge. The only downside is like if you take a level 1, it's just got one spell. Obviously, you know that. So hopefully you get the spell that you really want. I mean, for a like when the what is it? When you're getting that, when you're picking a lore as a really good signature spell, yeah, it makes sense 100% for Wanda Jet. Because yeah, the max you're getting is +2 now. Well, +2 for level 4, they can take a +1 or whatever, but there's not a big gap like there used to be, and I love that. I look because there's no point before taking level 1. Yeah, true. Defensive Dispeller, 100% cheap. Take a level 1, throw one jet at them. Now you have a much cheaper level 2 or level 3, 4 Dispeller, right? I do love how there's a big change now with the gap being so much closer. Because whoever took a level 1 or 2 wizard before, when you know your opponent's taking a level 4, there was really no point, because as soon as you got within range, he was dispelling you on almost everything unless you rolled fantastically high and he rolled really low. These changes, I think, are going to really rein in the level 3, the level 4 is being taken all the time. Because like, aside from you getting the extra spell, I mean, I might just take a level 3 now with a spell with a lore familiar and pick the spells that I really want, and I'm still casting at a +2. Because there's always a spell that I get in a game I find where with level 4 I just don't really cast it, so it's not really useful for what I need it for. It's not it's very specific to to a very specific situation. So now I'm not beholden to having to spend the points at level 4. I can take a level 3, still get the +2, and still work out some point and save some points somewhere else too. So I definitely like the changes. It's really, really good. Justin, yeah, I agree. I'm very excited for the what's it called, the match play book to reach me. I pre-ordered it. Once it comes here, that's the first thing I'm doing, is I'm going to be recording a battle report with doing one of those to see the changes and everything. Some of the missions definitely look interesting. Some of the secondary objectives. I really hope that it just doesn't fall into like people are playing and they say screw it to the secondary objectives and just focus on beating the crap out of each other, because that's really what Warhammer is, fantasy anyway. It's more about just beating the crap out of your opponent. So we'll see if the secondary objectives actually are going to come into play a lot, or if people are just going to ignore them. Yeah, some great changes. Let's see. I will go back and check out the rule book one here. For sure. Yeah. As long as, yeah, they made them so like the points are definitely worth it for going after them. They also brought back classic things too, right? Like the table quarters. Like bringing back table quarters was like a old school scoring thing, which was, I don't think they had that in 8th edition as the standard points, but that was like, I remember that in like, I think it was 6th and 7th had table quarters. So it kind of makes you think about spreading out your forces a little bit more. Yeah, right? That'd be hilarious. Giant sentinel turning into a frog. That's pretty funny. I'm not sure if you caught watched the battle report before where the guy took like, what was it? Had to be at least like 6 scrolls of transmogrification, and he just kept turning the enemy wizards into frogs. It was hilarious. So if you had to pick one change that they did here in this errata that was your favorite, what would you say it was? Of the rulebook changes. That's not go with Force of Fantasy or Ravening Hordes. For the official like rulebook changes, what's your favorite? I get there's probably a delay. You probably didn't catch that I said not the not the Force of Fantasy books. But that's fine. Gotcha, Zen. Yeah, and I like that change a lot. I like that it's just not going to be an automatic. Oh, here's your maximum overkill now because I'm dead and you have all your monster attacks to go. I do very much like that it's um it's going to be dependent on the like if the character kills him, then you're just going to maybe get a couple overkill instead of being guaranteed 5. Now, I wonder if it's going to try to bring in where people are going to try to somehow match or increase their mounts initiative, if that's possible, to the character's initiative to kind of keep them close. So if they're the same, they attack at the same time, and you still are able to get that. I don't think it's really possible, but I'm not sure if there's someone can figure out a combination for that. Sean, I'm so glad that you tuned in for this. That you chose this channel to go through the fact with. It means a lot that you guys could have went to a lot of other places. I'm sure you probably were bouncing around and stuff, but thank you so much for being here. Well, Patty, like so, they're gonna be like we everyone uses iron builders. The iron builders are going to be updated almost immediately. Like I think I was on old world builder and I already seen that they put changes in already for the facts, so they're there already. So it sucks that all of their cards and everything that people spent money on are like unless they're gonna like pen in the new changes. That kind of sucks. Like big time sucks to have to go in there and make changes to the cards because essentially the cards for me now are moot. Like I don't want to mark them up, so I probably just won't even use them anymore, or I'll use them there for the rules reference, and then I'll still have to reference my phone to remember the cascos of the spells, which is something I don't like doing. Yeah, I could do that and create my own cards by scanning them and doing Photoshop. That's for sure. I think one of my favorite ones here is the change to poison. I found poison was getting way too powerful, just with auto deleting big troops and the massive stack. I think that's something that I really enjoy that the change they made. Like poison's still good, don't get me wrong. Like you're wounding on a +2, but at least it's not a crazy auto wound anymore. So like a unit of fast cav spiders, for example, or something that aren't taking out your artillery by shooting poison arrows at it. Like it's I'm so happy that's a change. Yeah, exactly, Zen. Like anytime that someone brings a big monster and I know I'm going against Tomb Kings or I'm going against no when again. Stupid capture card. Um Anytime that I know that I'm going against Tomb Kings or Orcs and Goblins, I know that Spider Banner is going to be there for Orcs and Goblins. It makes me not want to bring big monsters because I know they're just going to get poisoned down before they even get to do anything. Let's see if I can get this to work again. Yeah, so that's... Unfortunately, I think my capture card just bit the dust again. I'll have to figure that out, but we're on Wi-Fi for now, so it may be not the smoothest. Ooh, boy. Stop. Just bear with me, guys. I'm sorry if this is giving you some motion sickness. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that works. Okay. Yeah, that's what I mean, Zen. Like the Serpent Amulet, auto include, put it on a character, toss him in the unit. But that's what I mean. Like it's too much. It was too powerful, and anything that I want to bring my toys, and I don't know if that's me being a child or whatever, but like if I bring something really cool and it's not, and I know it's not going to get in combat, it's like it makes me a little sad because it's like I want to play with my cool looking toys, and I can't because I know I'm playing against a poison army, so there's no point in doing it. It is what it is. But this change makes it definitely 100% more viable now. Because, like I said before, instead of just the auto wound, now you're only going to be wounding generally for most bows is on a 6 against monster, or is a 4 against monsters. So now it's only a 50-50 chance that you're really going to be doing a wound with your poison. Yeah, it really it does hurt them quite a bit because that was kind of their go-to. What it's poison for them, right? Because they're so low strength and everything that they're mad. They need that poison. My camera may not be the best because I'm on Wi-Fi now. It's because my capture card's being stupid. Sure, son. Yeah, it's okay. Ice Wolf, what's going on? Did Steve do his thing yet? I would imagine he's probably doing it. I was originally gonna do this at noon, but then I'm like, man, like I see so many people putting it up. I'm like, to stay semi-relevant, I have to do it now. So I just like, I'm like, I'm not going to bed. I'm just gonna cover this. I'll go to bed later. Sleep is for the weak. Oh, are we? Oh shit. Oh crap. I didn't mean to step on his toes. The the poison's really good, and I like the idea of getting rid of like Linehammer now with like you can only tack out as far as your movement characteristic is. That's a really nice change too. Because that essentially that gets rid of Linehammer. Although as Justin pointed out, it kind of hurts dwarves. Dwarves with their only 3-inch movement don't get to attack out as far. Well, I mean, at least we're not going like the ridiculousness of like 15 wide or something like that just to maximize attacks. I mean, everyone's going to try and get their maximum attacks if they can. It is what it is. It's the way the dice rolls. Unfortunately, when people want to play that way, they're just going to play that way. At least this kind of reins in just the ridiculousness of having one massive long line. Aesthetically, it's better, I think. That would be a terrifying unit. Absolutely terrifying. Oof. Black Orcs can take what? They can just take, is it great weapons, additional hand weapons, or sword and board, right? That's their weapon choices? Yeah, they're going to be really good. They're going to be really difficult to deal with. I think I I think sword masters. I know everyone thinks they're crap, but with them being having so many attacks now in 2 ranks and not being initiative based, like not having to deal with their initiative, like the strikes last, they can pump out some damage now too, like a lot of damage. The concern I do have for this, that's right, it does. The I'm just concerned that with the changes, it's hard to find a happy medium where like cav is good and infantry are good. It's very rare when they're both good. So it's usually when cav is good, infantry sucks. And then when infantry starts getting good, cav sucks. So it's going to be interesting to see that if they can maintain a good balance between the two. At least historically, that's what it's been in their previous editions. Right, yeah, because you're getting rid of all the ranks and everything. But even so, I still think it's going to be rough for cav. Only because they only have a certain amount of attacks. And now that an infantry can be, attack in 2 ranks depending on what they are, like that's a lot of attacks. Like even spearmen now, spearmen attacking essentially 3 ranks, that's a lot. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I like spearmen being that, a nice wall of pointy sticks. Yep, I see that. Yeah, because now your basic spearman has an armor save of 4 plus. I mean, against a lance charge, you're at least getting a 6 plus armor save. Yeah, stubborn them, or even shield wall them if they have shield wall and now switch to spears and you're laughing. They're stuck in combat with you. But again, I feel like that's kind of very thematic and very narrative driven, where it's infantry are now you're gonna get stuck if you're cav and you don't have that pushing power. You're just gonna get stuck in combat and ground down. So it's gonna be interesting how cav is gonna adjust to that now. Like I said, I love playing infantry heavy. It's definitely my preferred way to play Warhammer. It's what I grew up with, so I'm excited to see more infantry on the board. Um, listen, I remember like when I used to play when I was a kid, it was you had like 3, 4 blocks of infantry, maybe 2 units of cav on the flank, and then a cool monster or something like that. And that's what I remember Warhammer was back in the day. Um, Obviously everything evolves, everything changes, and the rules change and the meta changes. But I'd be interested to see if that's how it kind of goes back. Is more infantry blocks. I hope so. Probably won't, but I hope so. Well, I think I'm going to end it here. I'm starting to feel being up for a very long time. I want to thank you so much for staying with me and staying engaged with me. Loved it. This is a lot of fun. Again, if you feel like you want to help support the channel, the memberships are available. There's different levels. If you can, awesome. If not, all good. Just subscribing means a lot to me, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Check out our next battle report. That's going to be dropping July 5th. And that's going to be Cathay against Ogre Kingdoms with Steve from Mountain Miniatures here. So as always, guys, happy wargaming. Take care.